Welcome to the GOAT Show, the show where we celebrate and debate all things great. Today, I don't think we're going to have much celebrating because we are going to be talking about the debate of debates. It's taken X by storm. The debate between Dave Smith and Douglas Murray on the Joe Rogan podcast. You may have heard of it. A little old podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience. And we have a special guest with us who we just interviewed, our friend Adam Choit. Adam, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
What up?
What up,
guys? Thank you for having me on the recording. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but that was super fun. So we're like warmed up.
We're warmed up. We're loose. We're goosey. It's Friday, people. All right. I want to see some smoking. I want to see some drinking. I want to see maybe some fornicating. I don't want to see it, but like y'all should be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Order?
Like Friday.
What order? Do I have to do this?
Any order. Preferably,
Okay.
You know what? Maybe not the first two before the third, because it's a sensitive environment now out in the world. You may be accused of something if you're under the influence. So
the motherfucking thought police might come get you.
ZiLLY says he wants to see some fornicating. Does that mean you want to sit in the chair in the corner of the room?
He's a corner boy. That's what that means, bro.
Listen, I'm like, yay. I do rich people shit. Fucking make music. I watch porn. Oh man, yay, fucking crazy. We'll talk about him some other time. But no, today we're talking about serious business, fellas. All right, we gotta talk about this Gaza Israel conflict, and we felt because of such a sensitive topic, Adam, I trapped you. Right? We had to have a
conflict.
We had to have a person of Jewish heritage on the show, because it's a sensitive topic, and I don't want the people out there thinking that we're anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them thinking that we're, all these things. All right, Adam. So I'm using you as a shield.
Yeah, big mistake.
For all of that criticism.
You're our bridge to APAC, Adam.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a bridge there.
It's a big mistake. I haven't made Aaliyah yet.
I follow APAC tracker.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That works, I think. So ADL, APAC, leave us alone. All right. Just like Douglas Murray said, we should have people from different sides, different perspectives, giving their commentary.
He said that. He definitely said it.
All right, my God. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's get it. Okay, so quick recap for anybody who doesn't know, who's not in the swing of these types of things. Dave Smith, OG homie, libertarian, God, in my book, he's one of my favorite libertarian commentator guys, and is very well versed. If you ask me, I think he's an expert, but we'll get into that too. But this podcast, Part of the Problem, is the name of his podcast. He's been a friend of Joe Rogan for many years now. Been in the show many, many times. Joe Rogan definitely boosted him. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for doing that, because he's carries the flame, the ideas of liberty. Knock on wood, but if anything ever happens to Dr. Paul, I'm pretty Dave Smith's kind of the guy. He's carrying the mantle for that side of political thought. So you got Dave Smith, and then you got this gentleman, very erudite, sophisticated English gentleman named Douglas Murray.
Those aren't the words I would use to describe that goofy.
But you know what? If I did an audiobook about my life, I would definitely want Douglas Murray to be the voice. Fair enough. I mean, he's got the voice, at least.
He's got a voice. He's got a voice.
Pass.
I'll be honest, I don't really want to hear another thing that he has to say ever. Not even if I wrote it, bro. Straight up.
Well, okay. So to be fair, and I don't know maybe we might need to grok him, but in terms of Douglas Murray, what I do know him from, just in sort of passing on the internet and podcast circles and stuff like that, is he is on the right. He is somewhat a neocon, but he was very vocal during COVID and very vocal about what's going on in Europe and England with migrants. Not afraid of controversy, not afraid to court it. But he is a English gentleman, Jewish and gay. Let's just put it out there. Nothing wrong with either. I'm just saying. He tends to side with the people that are in support of what's going on in Israel and Gaza. He's on the pro-Zionist side, let's just say. And then Dave Smith, who is also Jewish and from the New York City area, he is on the opposite side. He is not a supporter of Israel's actions, the Zionist actions in Gaza, and they are also opposed to each other on the issue of Ukraine. So Dave Smith is not pro-Ukraine. He falls into the Scott Horton school of non-interventionism, which Scott Horton literally wrote the book on it, 2 books now. And Douglas Murray is on the opposite side of that too. He believes that Russia invaded Ukraine. That's all you got to say. That's it. He invaded. Now we must fight him forever until he is defeated. So these 2 gentlemen, they've been I think they were kind of going back and forth, kind of third party wise on X. And so finally, Joe brought them together on his show, and it's up. You can watch it. We'll put it in the show notes when this episode is done streaming. And there you go. That's the explanation. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to you, Fred. So you listen to the whole thing, all 3 hours of this conversation. First thing I want to ask you is, what is your overall feeling about it? How do you feel about the debate in general?
So I'll say this. I think that one person in this debate did an exemplary job, gave a fucking masterclass on having class and debating somebody. And I think another person came into this with complete bad faith, spun tires, said absolutely nothing, answered no questions that were posed to them, and really is just arrogant as fuck. If you didn't understand, Dave Smith led a masterclass. Douglas Murray was a master ass.
Damn, bars.
But I'm not an expert, so I can't really speak. Like, I'm not a Douglas Murray expert or a podcast expert. So please take what I say with a grain of salt. Fuck.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to you, Adam, and then I'm gonna go to you, Deezy. I know that you caught a good chunk of it, Adam. Is that the case?
I pretty much listened to the whole thing from start to finish, but at points, I had it on in the background, so I don't recall every single word of every single point back and forth. But I've seen some of the social media reaction and whatnot, so I'm clued into it enough.
And you feel the same way as Fresh about the overall about the debate?
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, I'm sure we'll dig deeper into it and whatever. I think you might even have clips or whatever. But no one ever really addresses like the arguments that Dave makes that violence is bad, and like you can't kill lots and lots of civilians in mass. And I also think the goal is to move them off the land, which didn't really come up, I think, too much in the conversation. But I mean, I don't know, people can say it's conspiracy or whatever, but you got Trump wanting to turn it into to Biff's Hotel and Back to the Future 2 in the Gaza Strip. So like I know they're saying the not too quiet part out loud too. So I think
that's more art of war tactics, bro. 48 laws of power tactics. I don't think he actually wants it.
Right. He's settling for the next this choice 2, choice 3, choice 4, but shooting for the negotiation. No, I did grok the art of the deal. What are the 10 main tenets of it? And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And I could see that play out in his campaign. And also thinking how I need to incorporate some of these things into my own life. So there's certainly value in that. But yeah, I mean, I'm totally, on the Dave Smith side of things and have very much similar story as a descendant of Holocaust victims and survivors and Eastern European Ashkenazi Jew, just based on doing DNA and just based on the dark hair.
All right, well, then I definitely want to get into that in a little bit because I think that's a factor. But Deezy, I know that you caught a bunch of it. Deezy, was that your same impression, or do you feel differently?
I just know that Murray kept fucking interrupting him, and didn't really have, like Fresh said, he didn't really have a lot of answers. He kind of went into like an accusatory mode. The way I think about a debate is as soon as you like have to use like a fallacy or an accusation against the person you're debating specifically to win an argument, then I think you lost the argument.
Yeah, relying on tactics.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't debating him.
Gotcha moments, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like not being just factual and having like the more logical standpoint is what wins a debate for me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what you guys are saying. And I think kind of what I'm interested in the stream that we're doing is I agree with you, Fresh, that this really is a like you could share this as like education, like debate education, because so many things, so many bad, like I agree on Murray's side, there's so many bad faith things that he did that people do when they debate that you can identify. And then on Dave's side is like how to handle it a certain way. I feel like it's like this could be like something you teach in school or something. Like it's just an amazing kind of juxtaposition of how people debate and you know and that's kind of what I want to get into with breaking down this whole thing. So okay.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah. Just on the grand idea of it, do you think that this is a tactic of a specific group, or do you think that this is a tactic of the side in a debate that is like, let's say, less believable or more likely to not be true?
I think the latter more. When you have nothing, whether it's a elementary school debate or whether it's a high school debate or whether it's debating the Middle East, I think if you have nothing, you rely on those gotcha moments you talk about. You rely on the trying to win an emotion, a plea to emotions, a plea to authority, anything but substance. And doing what I think is the most effective is showing that you understand the argument the other person's making. B, you're able to respond to it with an argument of your own,
which I think is the only thing that Dave may have missed as far as this masterclass is he should have asked Douglas to steelman his argument, steelman my position, because you keep answering things that you see on Twitter and hypotheticals you're making up in your head, but you're not saying what I'm like, you're not addressing what I said. So can you steelman my argument for me? And then we'll discuss it from there.
Honestly, I mean, when I was going to say, when it becomes semantics and they argue about semantics and definitions, that's sometimes where I start to like tune out and be like, oh, this is not necessarily even the best use of my time. Because I mean, we all want to become strengthened in our own arguments, and it's entertainment too. But if it's not entertainment and I'm not learning to strengthen my armor, it's like, what am I watching here?
Right. I would say that the debate is really split in two parts for me. There's the first 45 minutes. I think it's a 3-hour debate, right? There's the first 45 minutes, and then there's the rest of the debate. Okay. In the first 45 minutes, like right out of the gate, the first thing from the moment the debate starts, Douglas Murray, so there's 3 things I'm going to talk about here. Okay, the first thing is being a good guest. Being a good guest in life. This is a zoom out moment, okay?
Not just on a podcast.
You don't criticize who the other people have on the show. You don't criticize. You're going to get into it, but you don't criticize the past guests of your show. Yo, ZiLLY, you shouldn't have had. Let me go through the people you shouldn't have had on your show.
I mean, not in the beginning. I would we you know, we're the Ghost Show. We just had you on. We interview people, and there are people who come on that I know have different political viewpoints or philosophical views. Sometimes they say some wild shit that I don't even know if I can, you know, but as hosts, there's being a gracious host, and you know, we're not here to, at least on this show, we're not here to, you know, anybody who comes on the show for an interview, we're not here to get them. You know what I'm saying? We're here to support them. Otherwise, we wouldn't ask them on the show. If we don't want you on the show, you're not on the show. You know what I'm saying? If we don't like you, you're not on the show. But if we like you, but you just happen to have some views that are different, well, you know what? Like as hosts, even if on these live streams we say wild shit, in the actual interview, we're gracious hosts. And on the flip side, you have, especially me as an Indians growing up, if you show up at someone's house as a guest and you ain't bringing something, you ain't bringing no biscuits, like actual cookie biscuits, or you're not showing up with something, I mean, it's a faux pas. I don't know about now with these new Indians, these 3rd gen Indians, you know what I'm saying? But at least, when I was growing up, it was like you never show up at a person's house or whatever without offering something. And if you do show up at someone's house, even if we're not ready for you, mom's scrambling to go get the tea ready, doing this other shit. So as an Indian man, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Indian in many ways, but when it comes to being a good host and a good guest, those traditions still apply. So for him to come in on this podcast and immediately start lambasting Joe Rogan about why don't you have people from, more people from both sides or whatever. I just, to me, it's like for someone who is like this British, oh, I'm so British.
Joe was too cordial though, bro. Because I would have straight up, I would have been like, listen, bro, the problem is the right will talk to me and the left won't. It's not my fault. I'll get everybody on. But the left doesn't want to come on because I'm Joe Rogan and I talk to people on the right.
He's a nice guy.
He's nice, way too cordial in my opinion.
But he still will ask hard questions.
Yeah. No, he did a good job. He let us speak. There were long chunks where he didn't say anything.
Joe Rogan's a gentleman and a scholar. I think the second part, the scholar part, I don't think people realize, like, this dude has interviewed how many people over how many years about how many topics. I mean, this dude is like,
and he researches them before. Then he'll talk to you. Then he goes and does more research because he has more information. So again, to me, this is not just like, oh, big idiot caveman trying to learn because I have platform. Like, I mean, and even if it is, now he's more learned than you. Like, so.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this brings up the next part of that 45 minutes. So the first thing I just want to say about Joe Rogan is I think Joe Rogan is super smart. And if you watch old interviews of him, or if you watch Mencia era Rogan, the dude is fucking sharp, dude. He will cut you with like people underestimate the guy. He's being really, for all of Douglas Murray's fucking British bullshit, pomp or whatever. Joe Rogan's a true gentleman on this podcast. He is the example of what a gentleman is supposed to be, in my opinion. But that said, let's talk about this, the other thing that Murray's trying to press on both Joe and Dave from the moment this thing begins. He basically says, y'all ain't experts on shit. And and I should say Daryl Cooper. That's the first thing he goes after. Daryl Cooper and Ian Carroll. He's like, all y'all motherfuckers out here ain't experts. Okay, you're a bunch of fucking yappers. You don't know what you're talking about. And you should really get the experts on the show who really know, who've done the deep, who've written in scholarly journals. And I don't know. Okay, so I guess that's my question in general here. And I'll go to you, Deezy. What in your mind, what defines an expert?
Somewhat, it just really just depends if we're talking about in a craft or if we're talking about like a theological stance, or like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a profession with medical degrees and stuff like that, expert? Or are we talking about somebody that's done something for a very long time and has naturally become very skilled? Because you don't have to have those things in order to be an expert at something, right? So me, it's just someone who's very skilled at what they do. And if that's investigative research, then, you could be an expert at that. If it's talking, debate, you could be an expert at that. And these people just have opinions and they're speaking about their opinions and I mean, some people can't do that. Some people can't speak to other people and have like clear, concise back and forth. And it was shown because Murray was doing a lot of things that normal people do when they try to win debates or get themselves out of.
Well, that's a great point, right? At what point does it become the balance of not just being an expert, but being able to speak on these things, right? Because you're not just trying to regurgitate shit. You don't just want to go on something and be like, hey bro, so this. You have to be able to communicate with people. You know what I mean? So at what point do we want the person to be so much of an expert that they can't fucking communicate it with you? Right. And again, like something that to me creates an expert is 10,000 hours. So
right,
if you've done 10,000 hours in something, like Murray, for example, appealed to like boots on the ground, right? But I would argue that if you were boots on the ground, but you've been there for 5 minutes or you went there for a couple hours, it doesn't negate the fact that I've done 10,000 hours in this thing.
Right. Adam, I think you were going to say something.
I was looking up the definition of expert, and I was trying to narrow the AI down to something that would define expert in a way that is like makes them clear that they're not corrupt. Because I think there's obviously, like you guys are kind of saying, that there's experts that are corrupt and that are an expert at being terrible, and that doesn't make you a positive thing. But it said an expert is someone with verifiable mastery in a field, proven through transparent, merit-based achievements, free from bias or influence. But there's no such thing as free from bias or influence. Totally.
Well,
so
let's talk. I want to touch on that merit-based thing, because that was kind of what I was thinking about with this whole expert thing, right? So this is the analogy that came to my mind. Okay, let's say I got a leaky faucet, and I'm like, okay, I go on Google Maps or whatever, and I look up a plumber in my area, and I see that they got 4.5 stars and how many reviews, right? Okay, someone might say that guy's an expert. Okay, let's say I invite that guy over and I pay them, and then when I come back to the house, that faucet is just exploding water everywhere, and it's like destroying my house, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what'd you do, dude? And he goes around and goes, well, I'm the expert, and in whatever, right? On on Google Maps, I'm the expert, but I'm going to go, okay, so now imagine that scenario. And I go, holy shit, I got to fix this thing. And then there's a guy on there that, maybe has no reviews. And I'm like, yo, can you fix my faucet? Thing's going crazy. And they come in and they fix it. Who in that scenario is really the expert? Because the argument that Dave makes is, hey, listen, you fuckhead neocon idiots, right? You supposedly are the experts. You supposedly are the people that know everything, and you've gone, whatever, this and that. But for the last 20 years, since 9/11, you basically, our foreign policy has been a shit show. We've lost billions of dollars, or trillions, $8 trillion, I think. How many people have died as a result of this? How many innocent people have died? And then how is terrorism, any better than it was during this entire period? So why the fuck are we listening to you in the first place? And that's the whole point. It's like, because, and I don't know if I mentioned this clearly, but basically Douglas comes out and says, look, we should listen to the experts. It sounds familiar. We should listen to the experts on Ukraine and listen to the experts on all that. And, sorry, what are you saying now? Just speak, Adam, if you want. Interrupt me.
No, I was just going to say
I'm a loudmouth. Interrupt me.
Experts are also part of the definition of an expert. It's not usually included, and I get why, but they are capable of failure. An expert doesn't make you always correct. So just because even calling someone an expert, it doesn't mean they're always right 100% of the time. So like, I don't, it's a non-argument to call yourself an expert. It doesn't do anything. It's a nice word. It's all fucking spells. It's all word. What's the word I'm looking for? Like,
Voodoo, yeah.
Word voodoo, whatever, trying to propaganda, basically. It's a non-argument. Again, it's a tactic, using the word expert, because it doesn't make you right. Just as being an amateur doesn't make you wrong. I'm an amateur historian.
It's an appeal to authority fallacy, right? Like,
right. I mean,
because if you're wrong, if you're an expert, if you're wrong,
right?
Like,
that's exactly
archaeology is a great fucking example of this, right? They keep trying to bury the newest shit, because the newest shit disproves what they have already uncovered. Because basically they've gone down to layer 2, and now we can get to layer 7. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of the pyramids, right? We were talking about it. There are people that are doctors in Egyptology, bro. You know what I mean? They're the experts of that shit. And you're telling me now.
Do you think they're less experts because they're wrong about what was in something? No, they're still experts of everything else. They were just wrong about what was underneath. But like, they still have a better understanding than most people. They're still an expert.
No, for sure. But now all of that has to be rewritten again. it has to be re-examined, right? So they're an expert of potential information that is false. It's not true. Or it is missing the whole piece.
But that's more the point. They're not less of an expert. They've still spent their 10,000 hours.
They're an expert in bullshit.
In vain. Yeah, it's just in vain. You're now an expert of bullshit.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, the point of having an expert, talking to, like, if I'm like, I need an expert for something, the whole point is I need someone that knows a lot about this thing that can give me the correct, appropriate information for me to be able to do what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? And for him to just say, oh, well, because the way this whole thing came up, for anybody who hasn't watched it, is that he's the first thing. This is also kind of a bitch move. Instead of talking to Dave and Joe about whatever they've been doing, which they're there in the room, they can defend themselves. They can. I mean, if you want to address something that Dave said on a podcast, by all means, go ahead. He's right there. He can defend himself. But instead, the first thing Douglas does is starts calling out Daryl Cooper and fucking Ian Carroll, who I know for sure, based on the interview, he has not listened to a single. I've listened to Martyr Made. I've listened to that whole series. It's fucking awesome, and it is not anti Jewish people at all. It's not anti-Semitic at all, and he does not give flattering portrayals of Hitler or anybody. All he does is just say, "Hey, listen, maybe Churchill might have done some different things, and maybe the result wouldn't have been this massive world war with millions of Russians."
The actual take of Churchill is the actual bad guy of the war is satirical.
Right.
It was a satirical take, which is, again, like, even if we grant that, okay, Cooper's not in the room and whatever, but we still grant this clown the ability to talk about it here for whatever fucking weird reason.
Right.
You still have no fucking logic.
Yeah. I mean,
I think this whole I was gonna say this. I think this whole conversation derails everything, talking about this, like, Churchill's stuff. Like, I'm just like not that interested in that debate or the debate of the debate about the Churchill thing. I'm more interested in, like, let's not kill as many kids in hospitals and women and children, and less bombing and less murder all over the world, not just in Israel and Gaza, also. And, like, obviously they talked about Ukraine in this episode as well. So I'm more interested in talking about ending wars, not talking about, I mean, obviously it's relevant and I get why we talk about history, but I don't know. It seems like we're getting lost in the weeds of something that's, like, totally not relevant or important at the moment. Maybe
the relevancy of the church, this is what I think about the Churchill thing, why so many people are so hardcore, especially in so many pro-Zionist types are really adamant about Churchill. The reason is because every fucking neocon excuse for intervening around the world and starting these wars and doing all this shit, all this American empire adventurism, comes back to the Neville Chamberlain argument. It's always about, Neville Chamberlain didn't do enough with Hitler, and Hitler invaded, and we gotta fight him over there before they come over here. We gotta, that's the whole neocon thing for the last fucking, I don't know, since World War II. We got to fight them over there, or you're going to get another Hitler. Saddam's a Hitler. And Dave Smith says all this stuff. You're going to get another Saddam, or Saddam's a Hitler. Gaddafi's a Hitler. Now it's Iran is like Hitler. And so we got to go over there and bomb everything and blow everything up, under the guise of preventative action. So I think that's why they keep going after this Churchill thing. Because if you say, hey, Churchill, maybe we got to avoid all this shit. Maybe Hitler might have taken Poland, and okay, cool. We may not have gotten the Second World War the way it happened. That's heresy. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's criticism. Any criticism of heroes and from a blue-pilled point of view is going to unleash this fury from the corporate press and the people who buy into the corporate press. Like, I mean, it's the same stuff with, like, you can't like tear down Lincoln. If you suggest, hey, maybe there didn't have to be a civil war with millions of people dying, and we still could have ended slavery too. Maybe those could have been things. Things could have been, just to even bring up that conversation. If you, like, start to even talk about some of the things that Lincoln did, and jailing journalists and a lot of aggression as well. I'm not an expert on Hitler, but on Abraham Lincoln. Is that a pun? No, or a Freudian slip. But Yeah, no, I think it comes down to a lot of the times if you tear down the perceived hero of a blue-pilled person, you will break their brains and make them hate you or get mad at you a lot.
Or shit a so-called right person on the right, which is what Douglas is supposed to be. I mean, this expert thing,
did it
though,
feel like it? Did it feel like he was somebody that's on the right?
He didn't feel like it. He's saying the same.
No, I didn't know. I don't know anything about him. I wasn't sure. I assumed he was. I don't know. Just I assumed on the left, I guess, or just I don't know. I wasn't sure.
I mean, the expert thing, and that's what and that's what they challenge him on in the debate is like, do you have to be? Okay, so the first thing is this: Douglas is basically saying he's like, look, Joe, all right, you're getting all these people who have all these ideas that I don't like. And they're on your show and they get to talk all they want on your show. But when it comes to people on my side, you don't have anybody on. So the first thing is like,
you're sitting right in front of them, you fucking asshole. Like,
right.
You're literally there right now. And like, like your argument is defeated in the fact that you're sitting in front of Joe Rogan saying that to him. You know,
it's feminine energy on so many levels. So many.
I do have to ask though, because I feel like I have a lot of experience around people like this and lived experience, and I'm pretty good at observation. You guys think that Douglas was drunk?
Oh,
because he kept repeating himself. His speech was a little slurred, and he could have been nervous. It might not have been like hammered, but he might have had a couple to like take the edge off.
Joe keeps a lot of booze around.
That's what I'm saying. So because I don't know, bro, the repeating himself, slurring his speech, his points were all non-arguments. He wasn't addressing anything that was addressed to him. And he wouldn't give Dave a chance to finish. And even when Joe told him to give him the chance to finish, he goes, okay, I will. Like he had to still say something. Feels to me like somebody who might be a little sauced.
Dude, out of all the responses to this debate, that might be one of the funnier ones. I like that. But I was going to say, I think it is feminine energy, like complaining about the guests that that the host brings on, and like it's just so weak, and like I don't know, like Deezy was saying, you're there to make the argument. You can like you said, you're there, and it's like a very woke leftist thing trying to like feel like, what are you trying to fill a quota? If you're gonna like if he's dead serious about like concerned about Joe not giving both sides or whatever, or showing enough sides of an argument, come with very specific stats. Be like, I had AI do a printout of all the guests in their political spectrum. Here's details. Here's graphs. I think we can improve upon this. Here's some feedback. I don't mean to come across as a woke person, but I think, you need to represent the other side of the argument more, and I'm here to do that. I'm excited to talk about it.
Is that even a point you would make in the interview? Like, you also got to remember that you have time before and after this with Joe. Right. So
literally
if you're actually worried about it, be like, hey, bro, like you're saying, like you have all the stats, the breakdown, whatever, hand it to him or his producer, or have 10 copies and give it to all of them.
It was a bad.
What you're saying, Deezy, like you're going on the biggest show in the world. I mean, you fucking talk about being unappreciative. You're going on the biggest fucking show in the world, and you're gonna be like, "Yo, Joe, you should do in front of his audience." Like,
I'm telling the guy with the biggest audience in the world how he should use his audience and how to make it better. Bro, are you stupid? This guy knows how to grow a show, bro. Just shut up and talk about whatever the fuck you came here to talk about, bro.
What he could have done is
you're not an expert.
He could have brought a list of people that he thought were experts on his side of the aisle and said, hey, it'd be cool if you had some of these people on to get more people on our side of the aisle.
Yeah, don't be a smarmy fucking guy. Get on there and be like, hey, I appreciate you inviting me on this show. I don't think he even said that the entire interview. Did he say he was like, thank you for Dave did. He was like, hey, thanks for having us on the show. I don't think he did. I could be wrong about that, but he wasn't gracious at all about being on the biggest fucking podcast in the world. And Joe went the extra distance and told people to check out his book at the end there.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell, dude. I mean,
dude, I think
actually, the more I think about it,
I think it's actually a lack of like professionalism also. Like, even if you're not gracious, even if you don't like who Joe had on, like, I think like biting your tongue or saying things in a certain way and carrying yourself in a certain way, I think there's a certain level of professionalism. I think Dave generally does a pretty good job of maintaining that. And Dave is someone who's very much obviously rough around the edges in terms of like his comedy and his background. He doesn't come from an academic. I can't say the word. Academic background. Doesn't have a British accent.
I also really don't like him in a lot of other debate scenarios. Like, I watched him debate Andrew Wilson. I didn't really like it. Like, I've watched him do a couple of debates and he never really impressed me. And like, I like Dave well enough. Like, he's good. I, watch him on podcasts and all that shit. It's great. But as far as debates, he never really like scored it for me. But this time, bro, like it was like watching somebody who debates for a living debate somebody in elementary school. Like,
I almost have to want to watch. I want to almost watch a debate because the only really debates I watch are, I feel like, political debates where I'm usually on one side of the issue. I almost want to see something that's not a political debate, just to be reminded of what like a good faith debate looks like.
Bro,
where both sides acknowledge each other's points. They steel man, so to speak. What were you saying, Fresh?
I love Oxford style debates. More so, I would say like post 2010 though. Mm-hmm. I think now what they do is they teach people to speak really fast and get a lot of points in, because you're scored on how many of the points that you can respond to as well. And you only have a minute, whereas they have a minute and a half to say the thing. So I feel like now debates are a lot more bad faith. But I do enjoy watching a lot of like Oxford style debates. And I watch debates on a lot of things. I watch them like on religious topics. I watch them on political topics. I like things that are high stakes because they're high energy. They're entertaining, right? People get passionate. Like when you're debating if we should use like black or brown oil in your car. It's low stakes. Nobody gives a fuck. You know what I'm trying to say?
Pineapple on pizza.
Well, I mean,
that's high stakes.
The most recent debate that I saw, or not recent, but I would say that the thing that comes to my mind is when Scott Horton debated Bill Kristol. Man, that was a fucking chill. Even though with Scott Horton sometimes he can get a little salty, because he's fucking super intelligent and he knows what he's talking about. And the dude literally will cite like specific books and lines from books. And he's brilliant, but sometimes he gets a little salty. And I always feel like if you get too emotional, if you get too salty, it can diminish from you just stating the facts and being able to just be an assassin. Like,
it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe a little bit when he gets a little too salty. I think maybe even he's told to or hammed it up or whatever on his like Piers Morgan appearances, because he obviously Piers likes when people are kind of even curse at each other or get really emotional. But I think it almost feels like, not that I know Scott Horton well personally, but he's more like the stoner autistic libertarian who can spit out facts. So I think that's more his bread and butter in his zone. So while I do think he is becoming more polished as he makes more more mainstream, or he's made some Fox News appearances and doing these bigger shows and bigger debates, and for being forced to speak in some smaller bites and less duration or whatever. I think he is getting more polished, but at the same time, like it isn't my favorite when he like not loses control, but maybe gets a little too emotional. There's no reason to. I mean, I think even Dave was saying he thinks he could have maybe hit him harder. And I guess part of that, when you hit someone harder, it's hard to separate emotion when you're being more aggressive in a debate towards someone. I think that's going to naturally come with some emotion. But I think ultimately it's probably best in this sort of thing to maintain your cool and let the other person kind of just wreck themselves, a la Trump versus Biden in their.
That's my favorite in a debate, is when like one person is stoic and the other person is absolutely losing their mind.
Yeah.
I love it. I love watching people. Yeah, like I love watching people fall apart, bro. Like, you know what I mean? In a debate, like I don't know. It's so satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know if Douglas Murray ever fell apart in the debate. I just think he sucks or sucked.
He just kept pivoting, throwing sand. Can't see.
Bro, you can't fall apart if you never got it together, man.
What's that?
You can't fall apart if you never had it together.
Right.
You never made one real argument.
That's part. I think that's something that's a quality of a little bit of a psychopath, sociopath, or someone like that. They don't really get flustered because they don't really know what that they don't have enough awareness to know what it is to be flustered. Is that a thing?
You know who reminds me of that is if you watch Gavin Newsom and Charlie Kirk. Newsom is, say what you will about Gavin Newsom, but that guy is like, man, he's an assassin. Like that's guy,
who the machine loves. They love these people who know how, who don't.
He's reptilian, bro. Like that dude is reptilian. Like he does not get flustered. And look, he will bullshit.
They're going to push him for president. Watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he'll win too because garbage in, garbage out. It's all a big fucking psyop with the duopoly, as we see what's happening with the Trump administration. And
women because of women. Women will see him and he has all the dark triad traits to get women.
Bro, he looks like he is like a fucking Gotham supervillain, bro. Like, that's
he's
what he
going to be the president. I'm almost mentally preparing myself in the same way. So I could be wrong.
Women did it to Canada with Justin Trudeau. Okay. It's the same fucking shit, bro.
Damn it, women!
He's so handsome. Vote him in. He fucked us.
Gavin Newsom, AOC ticket. That's their ticket. Oh, Gavin Newsom, AOC. That's their ticket.
I think
Gavin Newsom, AOC. All the women will vote.
I think we're far away from that, but I think it could win because as long as Trump and the Republicans do what they're doing. Like I'm like, it's funny because like I feel like 2 months ago it's like President JD Vance, and now it's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe whatever. That's my feeling. I don't know, my vibe.
What JD Vance needs to do is he needs to dress up like the meme of him, and he will win the 2028 election. That's what I think. And talk in that please voice or whatever. If he did that, it would break the internet and he would get the votes.
Just continue to have low expectations for global national politics.
Let's bring it back to the center here, though, on this debate. So there are a couple of defenses that were being thrown around. People are saying you're using this defense, you're using that. And I do think there, in one regard, I think Douglas did have a decent beginning of an argument, but he didn't really stick the landing, which was he was basically saying, look, all y'all motherfuckers come out here, you talk a bunch of shit, but then when you get challenged, you start using the, well, I'm just a comedian defense, which
but they are.
I can understand.
Defense. They are just comedians, and they are not talking like authorities on things, right? And also like whole side caveat, like comedians have done more for the political sphere than anybody ever.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
So I don't really like, well, yeah, I mean, they are just comedians. They're not.
Well, the other thing is like, and this is the thing though. You know how many episodes of the Part of the Problem Dave has done? He's been doing Part of the Problem for fucking over a decade. Like literally, like I don't know how many years he's been doing it, but over a decade. And he has interviewed and talked and observed and read so much material that Dave should have said, yeah, I am a fucking expert, bitch. Have you read fucking Scott Horton's books? No? Okay, so you don't know fuck all. Have you? Douglas didn't listen to any of the Martyr Made stuff. He had no idea what he was talking about. He thought that it was like just Daryl Cooper talking. He didn't realize that these are produced episodes, like and well researched. So, if I were Dave, I'd be like, yeah, I am a fucking expert, and you're not. I'll tell you why. Boom. How many episodes of this have you done? Nothing. How many books have you read? Nothing. How many of this have you read? None. Have you done anything on my side and looked at anything on my side, or you just take his real talking points? You know, that would be my response to him. And Rogan is a fucking expert, in my opinion. He's had the experts on his show, and he's read and researched all these people. He's a fucking expert on a lot of shit. So, you know, for Douglas to say, oh, well, you haven't been in an academic institution and you haven't been, you know, reading this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, listen, bitch, like your fucking guys led to America being in Europe being in a shithole, you know, and struggling. So who's the fucking expert? Nobody listened to Ron Paul. Nobody listened to, it's not the libertarians and our viewpoints that have led to anything that's happening right now. So who's the real fucking expert? I think if you're an expert, you got to be right.
In order to Go on.
Like at least 90%, 95% of the time. Like maybe even like 97% of the time.
In order to be able to satirize something or make fun of it, which is a lot of what part of the problem is, I think you have to sort of understand it. And just thinking about like the history of comedy in some regard, like I'm grokking court jesters and their role and asking it, how much policy did they influence policy? And albeit, indirectly, they had powers in society and influence.
Well, the court jester was the king's best friend.
The only person,
the only person to criticize the king, bro.
Yeah, the only person allowed to mock the king. Yeah.
Bro, fuck this Douglas Murphy, my fucking he ain't. All right, go on.
Bro, he's not. What? He's the expert on experts now. How many experts have you read, Doug?
I would have asked him. That's one thing I think Dave and Rogan should have done, and of course, hindsight's 20/20. But I would have asked him, like, well, how do you define an expert? Because if you define it by being right, like, bro, like these are not experts.
Being right 100% of the time is not a definition. It's not part of the definition for expert. It does not mean you are right all the time. In the same way, being an amateur doesn't mean you're wrong or right all the time as well.
Because you can also be an expert where it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. You could be like a news broadcaster for 10 years. You're an expert broadcaster, right? But you're reading something and doing, like, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. If you're sitting there reading the news, right? If somebody's presenting information and they do it really well, and that's the position that they take, like, hey, I'm just showing you stuff that I found and for you to think about, right? Like,
right.
You could become an expert at that, and you could still have right or wrong opinions, but you could still be an expert at like presenting information. And like, for instance, Ian Carroll, he was a teacher, right? Like, right. He is an expert at like providing information and, presenting it in a way that's digestible. And also, whether or not the things that he's presenting are right or wrong, that doesn't mean that he's not an expert at doing that. And,
I want to speak on what you're saying, Fresh, which is Doug is. Sorry, I just want to say real quick. And you brought up something, like, I'm going to say this right now. All right. If you're an educator or you're a university person or whatever the fuck. All right. Listen, you can't just be a fucking egghead motherfucker who sticks his or her head in a book all day and does shit. If you want your ideas to be heard, if you want to be able to communicate on the level that, whoever else is, you got to learn communication skills. I'm sorry. You got to learn how to present yourself. You got to be like Jordan Peterson. Like, you got to learn that skill. It's part of being. I get it. Some people are brilliant and because of that, they have a difficulty with being able to like communicate their thoughts. But I just feel like in this day and age, you have to learn how to communicate if you want your ideas to be embraced, or find somebody who does, that can take your ideas and then communicate them, which is what Ian Carroll and these guys do.
But there's a bigger problem with this motherfucker asking for experts, right? He's asking for experts on things that are opinion based. Because the facts are in front of you. You don't need a fucking expert to read the facts. In fact, both of you guys, being who you are, should know the actual facts. And they didn't really dispute the facts. They disputed the nuances of like, well, like, for example,
that's
Doug
when
would be like, oh, is it a concentration camp? Like that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
But the facts themselves are not being debated. So,
right.
Who's the expert on Dave's opinion? Who's the expert on your opinion? Only you. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So it makes no sense. Like, you're appealing for an expert in something that doesn't even need one. Like, you don't need to be an expert in war tactics to understand that children are being killed in Gaza right now.
Right.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
and the word expert is like it's a gatekeeping method. Like, if you have an opinion that dissents from the expert opinion, then you're wrong, because experts are right.
It developed into a gatekeeping method. It used to be a marketing thing. Motherfuckers were like, let me just say I'm an expert. Now they believe the shit, bro. They've said it so much, they believe the shit. Like, it makes them better than, bro. So now it's like some kind of gatekeeping thing. They're like, oh, if you're not an expert, okay, so I'm going to start calling myself an expert today so that in 5 years you can look back and see I've been an expert for 5 years.
Right.
In fact, I'm the Douglas Murray expert. As of today, I am the foremost expert on Douglas Murray.
You just got
okay, there's one thing that Douglas brought up that was fucking stupid, in my opinion. It was so stupid, I could not believe it came out of his mouth. So he basically, at some point in the interview, Dave's talking, and he goes about Gaza and Israel. Have you been there? That was an actual argument he tried to present. That Dave is not qualified to speak about such issues because he has not visited Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or whatever.
Let me ask you a question. If you were there, like your boots on the ground, right? But you haven't talked to really anybody. You talked to like the 7 soldiers who brought you there to show you things, right? Do you know more about the place? Or if you have actually spoken to people who live there on both sides, who knows more? Tell me, who knows more about what the people who are there are going through?
I mean, I know for sure that you and I, Fresh, know some people that have, that are in that region that have told us exactly what the fuck they're seeing there.
Also, there's internet
on both
now,
sides,
and there's video. You can really find video of everything that's going on in real time. People have phones. Yeah, they don't have a house anymore, but they still have cell phones.
Are you kidding me, Deezy? They have video now and internet?
They don't have a house or toilet or anything, but they have a cell phone still, and they're taking videos still.
Yeah,
and posting that shit, and it's hard to say you haven't been somewhere, so you can't talk about it.
It's stupid. It's totally.
You don't have a uterus. You can't talk to me about abortion shit, bro.
Elon cannot talk about Mars because he's never been there.
Probably knows more about Mars than most people,
right? Than most study
Mars. Yeah, like than most Martians. Exactly.
Fuck, it's ridiculous. I don't know that argument. I was like, I cannot believe that's what makes me go like, okay, this guy fucking, yeah, he definitely is not here in good faith, and that is a stupid ass argument. Anybody, I don't know if you're watching out there, if you believe that is an argument for somebody not being able to speak on a topic, even if they've read everything, read journals,
have personal friends that have been there and have testimony, and they're seen video and seen other people's testimony. Like you don't need to have your own personal first hands-on experience to see what's going on.
I mean, that's dark triad shit. That's dark triad gaslighting fucking like, that's the other thing. I mean, if you want to see what it's like to interact with an actual narcissist, like
watch that.
Actually, like those are all the tactics. All the gaslighting is there.
Like, let's just follow the logic for a second, though, right? Like, so I've never been the president of the United States. So does that mean I should never speak on anything to do with the president of the United States? Like, is that like
Fresh,
you the logic? That would be it, right?
All right, you gotta shut up. You shut your damn mouth and never talk about anything that you don't.
Got it.
Okay. I think going somewhere and being at a place can be it can support or help support an argument in a debate. But in this particular case, it really totally is not relevant, because he could be in Gaza for 2 seconds at his hotel, never leave the hotel, and then technically he is still there. Whereas if he said something like that's maybe more of a vague debate, let's say he said like, I went to Jerusalem and I had a really spiritual feeling when I went there, and you can't experience it unless you go there. So you can't understand. You can't say it's not a spirit. If you're arguing Jerusalem,
but I could still be an expert on Jerusalem without going there and getting
exactly. That's a different argument. But in this case, maybe being there could make you feel one way or another. But then we're talking about feelings versus facts, and that's a whole different thing too. But I think it's just totally. It's not again. These are all tactics. They're not
right.
Good faith,
I mean,
steel-man-centric arguments.
If I were Dave, I would have just said, "Yeah, I have been there," just to see his reaction. Like, what would, you know what I mean? Like,
what DMT? And what if I take DMT and I end up in another? I'm
CIA.
I'm there in my
CIA
mind.
docs taught me astral projection. I'm there right now.
Yeah, you don't know where I am. Like,
I mean, I mean, sure, if you've been there, to me that's a bonus, but it's not a prerequisite. Like you going somewhere does not mean that you have to, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of a bonus. Okay, you saw it with your own eyes, but like
it
I
also
can see a
doesn't make you
video.
an expert, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make you an expert.
That doesn't make you an expert. You
I've
go to the
places,
pyramids, that doesn't give you 10 years of fucking like research about fucking Egypt. You're not an expert, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And I haven't been to the pyramids, but we still talked about it. That doesn't mean that we're not allowed to talk about it because we're not fucking experts in the field. Like that's.
I mean, you telling me we got to dig up the underground of the pyramids to know whether or not it's on those pedestals? All right, then let's do it. Shut the fuck up. Let's all shut the fuck up and let's, Egypt. Come on, Egypt. Let's get some permission in here to dig up what's underneath and figure out what that is. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that was so stupid. Okay, and then Douglas had a defense. I want to get your guys' take on this. This might be a long stream. He came up with this fog of war defense. Okay, and this is what a bunch of fucking stupid ass neocons always do. Okay, they go, oh, well, back in the day when the Berlin Wall fell and we were trying to figure out whether Russia should be NATO or whatever, it was the fog of war. It was a fog. We can look back in time and sure, today it seems clear, but back then it wasn't. And so we did the best we could to figure, we didn't know before, we invaded Iraq, whether, what was going to happen and blah, blah, blah. Well, I remember it clearly. Motherfuckers were saying we're going to go to Iraq, liberate that place, and turn into a democracy. And there were a lot of people who were like, no, that's the dumbest fucking idea in the world. Do not do it. And we did it anyway. So, I don't know. Me personally, this fog of the past argument, but we didn't know what we were doing, I think is a total fucking gaslighting smokescreen and it's bullshit. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it fair?
I think it's bullshit because they only ever use it when it's like, oh, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Fog of war. But you're never like, do something fucked up and look back and like, fog of war. It was great that we did this.
It's a means for me, I think, to hide a true intention of something.
More word voodoo.
Yeah. I like that word voodoo.
There is a term, but I can't find it. Not word salad. That's something else.
Word voodoo is better because it is voodoo. It's like trying to fucking, it's trying to put a smokescreen on you. Some shit. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was dumb too, but, okay. Something else I wanted to kind of bring up. Okay. So, and this is in general, this is kind of what's happening right now. So, there is a division in sort of right-leaning circles. I think there's the libertarian neocon division, but there's this, the new term, the woke right is what's happening now. So the woke left was all like illogical. If you say that we should examine a certain thing, automatically you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're this and that, right? And I think the right's version of that,
same, but Israel.
Yeah, I think. I mean, what do you think, Adam? Do you feel like there's a woke right that is? So there's two sides of the woke right thing. The first is like Israel and defending Israel no matter what, and that there's that side. But then there's this other side where they go, and this is what Douglas Murray brings up, which again we can discuss whether we agree with it. Oh well, Dave, you are talking to Daryl Cooper, or Joe, you're having on Ian Carroll, and they talk about Israel stuff, and these white supremacists and anti-Jew people are following them, and I see all of their their memes in the comments on X, and some of them are really, really anti-Semitic, and some of them are really, really this and that. So therefore, you shouldn't have these people on. They're on the fringes, and what you really need to do is get the people who are the experts, the mainstream people. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that's fair?
Well, these people, no one that I follow, and Joe Rogan and Dave Smith are not talking to the fringes. They're talking to people that maybe some fringe people follow, and I don't have to like those people, and I can criticize them. Really, it comes down to me not liking anyone. I don't like the leftists who are protesting the war in Gaza because they're wrong on every single other issue, and they're socialists who probably want me dead. And a lot of them are, although some are Jewish, I'm sure a lot of them are secular Jews who don't even believe in God and are atheists. And I kind of find that a little bit annoying too, in some regard. And there's definitely a strand of anti-Semitism and Jew hating and over the top ridiculousness coming from that side too, at least to some degree. And just the protest tactics, blocking roads, and half of them might even be funded for disruption by Soros or whatever. So I hate the left, and I hate the woke right as well, who use the woke tactics of accusing anyone who disagrees with Israel's government. You're a bigot, you're anti-Semite, you can't criticize the government. So that's annoying, and I dislike those people. And then all the actual anti-Semites, or and people who hate Jews, or even or at least to some degree do, and like straight Holocaust deniers. Like we can have conversations about the numbers, but to say people weren't slaughtered and like to kind of like dismiss that, I don't like that either, and that's growing too. And I don't like the ADL who farms this stuff, and they love to see like this stuff, I think, growing online because it's business for them, and they propagate it. And I think there's a lot to be said that's post 1948, post World War II, that the Holocaust and World War II and past persecutions have definitely been used for geopolitical gain at the expense of the liberty of other people around the world, whether it be in Gaza or the American or the Israeli government, and Israel's influence over the U.S. has, certainly been pushed us into wars in the Middle East that has led to destruction. So I kind of dislike that the most. So that tends to, what's the word? Inspire, infuse, inform my libertarian streak in me. Right. But really, I don't like any of these people. But at the same time, I don't want to be like someone who's like never going to. I don't want to shut down conversation like Douglas Murray, but I think I need to do a better job at standing up for whichever side that I'm like facing, like whoever's the asshole. I can do a good job of standing up to whoever's being the asshole, but I can also do a better job at being at peace with not feeling like I have to fight back. I don't have to argue with every single person who I think has a negative thing to say about Jews, but I could defend that. I could defend my anti-war thing. I could talk to the neocons and boomer cons and all of my Long Island Jew friends and their dad, all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's definitely a challenge. It's funny that you asked this, and it's funny that I'm on to talk about this because I had a little heart to heart with the AI yesterday about this and some of my conflicting feelings when it comes to my identity. So it actually helped me crystallize a lot of my hatred for everyone. A little AI hatred for everyone, but it's definitely annoying when you see the Jews this, the Jews that, the Jews this, that, or even worse, because it's.
You should get some of that money. Is what I'm saying. I'm saying you should get some of that money, right, for the edited. If that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Well, you got to call up your Jewish friends and be like, yo, where's my cut?
Yeah, no, I'm a low IQ, low income Jew. I'm on the lower spectrum of those things, but still on maybe a relative to the rest of the world. I'm not retarded and totally.
I would not say that. I would not say that. No,
yeah, a lot of mixed feelings and a lot of things. Because I engage with some of and I come across people who just don't like Jews and are open about it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should say this, blah 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 blah, and then like, oh, maybe they're just joking around in some YouTube chat. I don't want to like be a little bitch about it, but at the same time, it's like I need to be but maybe I'm being a bitch by not standing up for certain things. Like I don't want to, I don't. Sometimes I want to say not all Jews, and other times I'm like, I don't need to do this every time. But like, it's just it's an everyday thing. But everyone's got their.
Hey man, listen. At least they're saying you guys got power, money, all that shit. They're saying we idiots, we stink, and we're turking the jobs. That's what we get, and we're nerds. Like I'll trade you, bro.
Is it the cumin?
No, it's the curry.
I think it smells good.
Me too.
It's not BO.
Thank you.
I never walked into my Indian friend's house and said this is bad. I was just like, oh, this is what it is.
To be fair, though, yeah, but to be fair, I don't think that people are complaining about the way your house smells.
It's the taking the jobs.
Just me.
it's
the Jews.
If you leave the
not my house, Palestinian
and still
house.
smell like the house, like a house smelling like curry is dope. A person should smell like, you know, a cologne, soap.
Look at this colonizer ass fucking guy here.
Nah,
fucking colonizer. Deezy, are you a colonizer too, man? What the fuck, man?
I'm colonizing you with deodorant.
Smell the way I smell, spicy and delicious.
Human
all right?
lingers.
Then wear some Old Spice. Become a Fabio.
I do wear Old Spice. Fiji, because that's where I, was born. All right. Well, we just got canceled by everybody.
Doesn't matter, bro. The older I get, I start building my basis off of a very narrow argument and try to have just a base argument for like what my stances are, so that I can always fall back on this is my belief. And I'm growing more and more truly American first as I get older. I'm just like, I see how much homeless people we have on the streets. I see the destruction and all of the fucking potholes in the roads and all the bullshit that we have going on. And people are all in credit card debt and fucking can't manage anything. And we're sending billions of dollars all across the globe and trying to solve everyone else's problems. And I just want, like, if we could just focus on America and be truly America first, I think then, that means not going out and fighting wars and sending money and getting involved in politics unless it is truly a national security issue. But that'll never happen. Everybody's paid. Everybody's paid at the top. There's endless corruption and, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Even if you could get them to agree, the problem is there are some people that believe that America first means something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I get it.
Empire,
like,
yeah,
no, I think,
I think there's right.
Bring it back. Let's work on fucking everything, all our social issues and our economic issues and our fucking infrastructure and all the bullshit that we have
marketing. With. So you think the problem? You think the problem's marketing and branding? Like, because again, saying America first, even for somebody who knows that thing doesn't mean what they're saying it means, every time I hear it, I gotta check who says it. Right?
Yeah. No, I get it.
So do you think maybe the problem is branding?
I tried to define what I thought it meant after I said it. Right? Like,
for sure, but that's a problem. That there is the problem, right? Because you shouldn't have to do that. I knew what the fuck you meant, right? So like, you shouldn't have to do that. So how do we rebrand that to make it like
I've been
America
saying,
really first?
I've been saying
America first.
Make America to friends of mine. I've been saying America only. I like America only.
America only.
Yeah,
America only.
And I'm at the listen. Look, I'll throw an olive branch out. I'm not going to give any money. I'm just saying Israel and Gaza can have it out. I just don't want us to pay for any of it. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at right now. I'm like, all right, look, this is not going to get settled. Y'all settle this shit one way or another.
Well, it's not just going to be Gaza. Like, it's going to be a lot of countries that will probably, get involved. But again, it shouldn't be us. It shouldn't be us.
You get involved,
if it's not us,
if another country gets involved, it's got to be a father figure play, right? So you got to come in and take the toy away from both of them. So that either means wipe everybody the fuck out, God don't live here no more, and neither do you, or take everybody out, because you can't have it. If you can't play nice, you can't have the toy.
I just think, I agree with you, Fresh, in the sense of if that's with diplomacy or economics, which is what it should be. But my position is just like, look, like, all right, Israel, like, do your thing. Listen, hey, and I don't agree with, and on some level, I'm like, I don't agree with the egalitarian. I know some people say, oh, it should never have been there and this and that, and they did all the shit in the past. It's like, look, all these motherfucking countries around the world did fucked up shit, and them, it just is what it is. Those are the chips that are dealt. America, American history and all kinds of stuff here. There's a bunch of shit that happened. We're
bro, you can't
Chinese
Hamas
history.
and then be mad that Hamas fucking hits you, bro. You created like, for example, bro, you create Jurassic Park. Then a T-Rex bites your head off.
Right.
You're gonna be like, oh, I can't believe the fucking no, bro. Of course the T-Rex bit your head off. You created a fucking T-Rex.
Yeah.
So if you create a terrorist organization and then the fucking terrorist organization happens to send some bombs your way, do you hold
happens to send a bunch of people in like fucking paragliding?
You hold
with an Iron Dome that somehow didn't work.
The big thing is
there's
like
no onus for you.
The problem with this is a perpetuating cycle. So something a group of people go do something, and then if the consequence falls on a bunch of innocent people, and then those innocent people become radicalized, and then they go do it again because now they're pissed. Their family's dead. They lost all their family to bombs from Israel, and now they're pissed and they want to go cause harm, and then they're going to go do something again, and it's going to justify another attack by Israel, and it's just going to keep continuing over and over again.
So stupid. It's all so stupid and gay and retarded and dumb, and I hate all of it, and it's so dumb. And that's we talked about on the other recording before, I guess, some of my idealism and dreaming and all this stuff. And I definitely think that this is just so irrational and stupid, and there's no reason for it. And to think that in 2025, whatever the current year is, that, like, with communication and phones and internet and able to communicate, and we could live stream, we could Zoom, and that people can't figure out a solution to their problems without dropping bombs on each other. I think it's just, this is all like somewhat purposeful. Maybe, I mean, definitely sinister, but like maybe it's all part of the simulation, like that this conflict needs to be perpetuated. I mean, I hope not. I don't think so. I think it's just humans being stupid, and I think this is dumb. And I don't know. Why can't they figure this out? I don't drop a bomb on my neighbor. Fucking his dog shits on the grass in front of the thing. I don't like drop a bomb on his house.
Bro,
right.
Listen,
I mean,
nobody's gonna say that you should level the whole place because there might be some people there. Like, it's just not. It's not reasonable. And like, because first of all, like, my stance on the conflict aside, I don't like. I think that a reaction doesn't need to necessarily be exactly proportionate, right? But I do think that there are some things that we just don't do as a fucking human race, right? And we don't just fucking we don't just shoot through women and children to get anybody ever. That's just not okay. If some terrorist had your mom hostage right now, and the only way for me to get him was to kill her, you think you'd be okay with being like, yeah, shoot her, fuck it?
Right.
Absolutely not. And now you're doing this on a fucking grand scale where the majority of people you're hitting are not this group.
Right.
And also you're fucking putting the charge on everybody when you know that they were installed. Like, even if, let's say, they weren't created, okay? It was a hard road for them to get in. So at least half the people, or mostly half of the people, didn't want them in. Everybody who lives there now, like, fuck, more than half of them are under 18. So they weren't even born when it happened.
Right.
Since they fucking struggled, the people tried to have a coup, and it was fucking failed coup, and now they have a totalitarian fucking control over it. You're you're condemning the whole population who's been taken over by terrorists that you created, and fucking flattening their home.
And also, on top of that, zero empathy. You're signing the bombs. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, it's just a casualty of war. You know, and
then you hear Doug Murray go on this fucking, on Joe Rogan, and talk like, oh, this is just the fucking cost of war. And that is fucking disgusting. Like, the total disregard for life is, to me, the most disgusting thing about that fucking interview. And it's the thing that makes me want to punch him in his fucking mouth. Like, and all the other shit aside, we can have differences of opinions and all that shit, bro. But like, you disregarding life, to me, that's a whole nother level, man.
How do you get that detached from, like, I don't know. They're really able to separate it and not really think about civilians
and go there. He said he went there.
Yeah,
so he's in there.
He can go geographically, but he can't put himself in the position of a mom, a daughter, a son, a baby, a father who's not involved in any possible way. That's just like, I don't know. It's fascinating. I think he tries to make he made several emotion-based arguments that were, I think, citing some violence and things like that on one side. But I bet if I guess I don't bet, but if he just sat down and just bombarded him with footage of Palestinian civilians brutally being killed, I think wouldn't he have to by the end think like, oh, maybe there's a different way than war?
He's seen it, Adam. It's not that he hasn't seen it, bro.
And this is where it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you see a guy like this, he obviously is a Zionist, okay, like hardcore Zionist. He is promoted by Zionist powers. The Zionist philosophy is the chosen race philosophy. We are not even all Jews. Like we are the chosen, and we're going to bring about the World War III or whatever, so that whatever for the Christian Zionists, it's about bringing Jesus coming back by making the world shitty in like Revelation.
Well, you're getting into some of the biblical things and going, I don't know that, but I think.
But my point is that that's what allows them to disassociate. It allows them to say, okay, everybody else is just fucking cattle, essentially, and we're the chosen ones. So whatever we do is justified, and they are nothing, right?
Yeah, they're all sociopaths to some degree. Even Douglas Murray probably, I think, must have a little bit of that in him to have the beliefs that you do. I mean,
to believe that you are chosen and that what you do, no matter what you do, is right, because it's like the way, like killing. It's like killing to them. It's like killing an animal. Like we're just animals.
I think Gavin Newsom thinks this way, and I think that's why he's able to have these conversations. It's like it's not a Jewish thing. Necessarily. I think
it's not. It's not.
No,
it might even be tied to ritualistic shit that involves Israel. But it doesn't have to necessarily do with the Jewish faith.
I think every group, or at least, I obviously think of Jews and blacks, especially when it comes to like left-wing politics, I guess. But I think every group to some degree is exploited by the most powerful of that group. Like you're going to get your ADLs, you're going to get your Jesse Jacksons and Al Sharptons. You're going to, I don't know. Is there something to that? I forgot what my point is.
And not to, again, you get it's their real shit, but like it's like a lot of the Holocaust stuff has been used as the
political tool, certainly.
Yeah, it's a political tool to say, if we don't act here, if we don't do this action, it's going to be another Holocaust. You've heard
that's why that's why I always feel like I'm torn between such a rock and a hard place or whatever, because I got this one side exploiting something that like I had ancestors, perish in and survivors and who experienced it firsthand, and you're going to exploit that for murdering people, innocent people.
The same thing.
I hate that. And then I see
like Hitler would be proud of them. You know what I'm saying? Like Hitler would be proud of Ben right now.
Right. Some of them probably are true Nazis, Satanists, whatever. And then you have the other side that's like, no, who downplays your own family's history or hates Jews or just
being an individual, right? Like you have your own individuality.
Yeah,
and because I don't like groupthink of any kind. Like
that's right. Collectivism is evil to varying degrees, I think, is the way I need to think of it. So for me, I just need to maybe reply in an appropriate manner when appropriate, and not beat myself up or be too worried about if I don't every single fucking time. I mean, listen, not all Jews, not all Jews, not all Jews.
Listen, I see these Indians, I see these AI Indian like poop rocket fucking memes, and to be fair, I do laugh. I think it's funny. But that said, I don't feel like I need to defend it or say anything. It's like I'm just going to.
If it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you.
Yeah. But even if somebody looks, well, I guess the first thing is like if somebody looked at me and judged me based on that, it's not someone I'd want to associate with anyway. Some might argue, somebody might commit violence because of that. I don't know. I don't know if it's there.
I'm not worried about the
violence. You know what I'm saying?
But, I don't know.
I will say you didn't stink when you got in my car, bro. Okay.
That's good. I try to bathe regularly and put on deodorant.
It's all about love. We gotta get rid of hatred. We gotta have more love in this world and less hatred. We don't even talk about this shit, and it's all energy. It does matter. That's why they hate like all this shit, because like if the more people love each other, the less people are killing each other. It's that simple.
But the problem is we label everything as hate, bro. Like we can have a conversation and we can have a disagreement and I don't hate you. And I think that this is where the problem lies. And I think that to tie this all back in a pretty little bow, I think this is why the thing that Dougie was complaining to Joe for the first 45 minutes about happens. I don't think that the left is willing to even indulge in discourse at all. They don't want
the left and the neocons
and
will not.
They don't want to talk. They don't want you to say certain things. They want to compel your speech. And I mean, it's dangerous, bro.
Yeah. Yep. Fun times.
Yeah, good times. Well, should we talk about? There's been some reactions to this that have been pretty funny. Owen's was like the most hardcore. Owen Benjamin's reaction was like, I don't even know. It's what did he?
We don't have to put it up, but like
there've been some interesting reactions. I think generally most people feel that Dave won this debate. I haven't seen. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just my TL. It is a biased timeline because I follow a bunch of libertarians, but I don't know.
Bro, Dave's the only one who attended that debate. What are you talking about? Douglas never showed up.
Yeah.
Got drunk and spun tires the whole time.
So, all right, Dave Smith, you won, bro.
Well,
by default, just for showing up.
That's what he said, bro. That's what he said. He won by showing up, basically.
Yeah.
Cheers, Dave.
Stand your ground with logic, facts. You could have emotions in there if the logic inspires emotion, right? Like if the facts inspire your emotion, then you could say, I feel this way about this because this is the fact.
Right.
I think you can share your emotions without being emotional or not in control of your emotions, but that's sometimes easier said than done. And I think you see that with Rogan too, just the way he's able to like maintain calm. I think I do a decent job at these as I move throughout my day. And I don't think anyone gives me feedback that I don't. But on the inside, I feel very differently than perhaps how I'm projecting. Whereas I feel like, why did you say that? That hurts my feelings. I'm mad about that and this and blah, 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 blah.
Hey, sometimes you got to say that. Like, yo, you're hurting my feelings, bro. And then people will be like, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, dude.
I'm a man. You don't express your feelings. No.
Yo, but here's the thing, bro. See, I wish that I could be like that. I'm not stoic enough. I think that this is my biggest thing is I want to become more stoic. Because as you can see, I'm very animated. And like, I'm not like I'm loud and I sound aggressive. But I'm also a fucking teddy bear. Like I'm all full of love.
I don't think it's about. I don't think it's about stoicism for people like us. But it's more about like being more grounded in who we are and being more calm. Stoicism is a personality. Calmness is an energy. Word. I'm deep.
I mean, I can speak for the Indians. We're just getting in positions of power, like y'all Jews. Yeah, Adam. So there we go.
We
figured it out. We can form a merger. What's that?
Oh God, no.
Look, Sam Altman, Satya Nadella, they got together. We doing it, Adam. High five. Boom. I'm running this shit.
There's a fusion restaurant.
The AIIPAC.
AIPAC.
AIIPAC.
You know what my biggest problem with the ADL and APAC is? All right, here we go.
They farm.
Here we go.
No,
my biggest problem is that. Listen, ADL. Listen, APAC. Y'all lazy. Y'all is fucking lazy. All right, enough. Like you need to work harder. If I got someone responding to my tweet with, well, it wasn't actually that number. Y'all need to hop in, get the facts, drop them in. You need to work on your marketing. You need to work on getting your bots better. Like, come on now. All right, I'm done. That's all I gotta say to them. Like, work harder. Figure it out.
Is that a 9-inch nail shirt?
It. Well, can we say it? Yeah. Yes, it is.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, it's
Nin.
Anyway, it's just we can't edit it out. It's live stream. It just went up. No, I'm serious, man. If y'all are mad at these groypers or whatever, these people making the memes, you gotta come on now.
Hey, look.
Come with your arguments.
You ever seen the video of the he's like an older Jewish gentleman and he goes up like there's a book with all the names of the people that died in the Holocaust and he's been searching his whole life and he finally finds the name of his people in the book, and like he breaks down crying, and it's really emotional. But I say that just to say that I didn't even know there was a book. Right. So,
right. Hey, listen, I mean, you want to, this is the other thing. I mean, even the neocons and the leftists, right? It's like, okay, guys, like, and gals, whatever, it's, y'all got to bring it. You can't hide. We live in a new world now. The information's there. You're not going to stop it. It's time to get to work.
Ad hominems don't win. They don't win. You can't sit there and spin tires for a whole debate. You're just going to look dumb.
If you got all these experts, then you need to start talking to them and start, compiling information and deliver it in an effective way.
Well, we talked about
those peer review studies, man.
Yeah, well, and be ready if you're going on the biggest platform in the world.
Yeah, I mean, part of why Trump won the election was because he went on these long form podcasts and showed that he could at least hold a conversation, be a human being and not a sociopath, and not be a total retarded wine mom drunk. And that definitely like served him. But I don't know. Like well, we were saying that Newsom's been able to, at least with some amount of, I guess, success, be able to get through a long form conversation with some differing viewpoints. So I was going to say that, the Republicans in the Trump administration could do so bad where someone who doesn't do a podcast, a somewhat authentic podcast circuit in 2028 could win. But Newsom's kind of like, doing it anyway. So, yeah. Oh, boy.
Newsom sat with Charlie Kirk. I mean, give him credit. He sat with Charlie Kirk for I don't know how long, and I didn't watch it. I should watch it, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him credit till I watch it. We'll see if
I saw clips.
Charlie just destroys him, then...
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think, but I agree.
I enjoy watching Charlie, bro. Charlie is fucking...
I think it's more... It's more tactic.
He's willing to go out there.
Sorry. I mean, I didn't watch it start to finish. I just saw clips from the Newsom Charlie Kirk thing. But I think it's going to be similar to the Douglas Murray thing, where it's just like semi-sociopathic tactics and not addressing arguments, only just addressing semantics, definitions,
fast talking points,
straw manning. What's that? Straw
manning with fast talking points from online.
Right, that sort of stuff. Deflecting, projecting, all those things, like, all those. I think that's primarily what they're going to be. But they're able to. I think. I mean, I'm sure there were a couple of moments I think that went semi-viral where Charlie Kirk kind of got him or made him look bad. But for the most part, like, there was, I don't know, it didn't seem like anything came out there that so far from his podcast that's going to be like, look at this loser, Gavin Newsom. There's no way he can win. There's no like real folly in terms of anything he's said or done. Yeah, he's fucking awkward guy. He shakes. Well, we know he's a sociopath and a reptilian lizard person. But,
no, I think Newsom's slick, bro.
He didn't. His 17-inch tongue didn't like accidentally forgetting where he was, lick a bug off the table. So he hasn't had that moment where a Joe Biden moment, if you will.
Newsom, AOC, watch out, because AOC's doing she's doing the.
I'm in. No.
Oh man.
You fucking hornballs.
I should have just ended it there.
I simp for AOC. Damn.
Yeah, no, I catch myself having to be like, no, this is, I'm Jewish, but whatever. Stay away from me, vampire, Latina, big booty Latina lady. Shout out to Alex Stein.
There's been a moratorium on deportations of big booty Latinas, from what I hear. So,
yeah,
beware.
Fair enough.
All right, listen, this has been awesome. What a great stream. I don't know if there's anything else we want to talk about, but if not, just like to toast yet again. Adam, thanks for coming on. I don't know if you got something to drink.
Water.
Were you going to play some guitar for us?
I guess not. I'm good. We want to play.
We were playing some Santana before this thing, but
I was jamming with the backing track, but I don't know. Let me think.
That's fine.
How about next time?
It's all right. Next time. All right. Next time, full commitment.
If next next time I'll like if I know we're gonna do like a war thing, I'll do like a Creedence Clearwater, some kind of anti-war, you know. Okay. Summer, what's that? San Francisco. If you're going to San Francisco, some flower. I'll put a flower in my hair
for the World War III stream. We'll have you back on. How about that?
I regret when I was college aged not being more openly or consciously anti-war against the war in Iraq. Because
don't worry about it, man. I went to the airport in Boston to protest, and like nobody gave a shit.
Nobody gave a shit, and it was all left-wing people protesting it. And even then, I knew that, like, I knew I kind of wasn't a left-wing person or a right-wing person even at that time. But it was the correct position to be against that war. I was more like, oh, well, maybe blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, I'm going to worry about my own life because I'm going to be very self-centered from ages 0 to 29 or whatever, 31.
We were too 25. Busy being fucking G's, bro.
Well, we're lucky.
We were out in these streets fucking.
Yeah.
We were out in these LA streets being fucking LA.
I didn't start the war in Iraq. The second one.
Let's end it there.
Either of them. But yeah, I don't know.